Party with your host, Dustin Rybka.
Hello and welcome to Sex Party. I'm your host, Dustin Rybka. With me on the show this week is Angel Yussof. Angel is a full-time OnlyFans creator, but how she became a full-time OnlyFans creator is the real story. It's very, very interesting. I'll give you a hint. It started with a relationship that may have been a bit toxic. Angel talks about how much money she makes, what kind of things she's doing. She gives a lot of tips and valuable knowledge for anyone who's thinking about starting an OnlyFans. It's an amazing episode. I don't want to say too much. At the end of the episode, Angel goes through the burner. So without further ado, enjoy my conversation with Angel Yussof.
This week's conversation.
Angel Yussof, welcome to Sex Party. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I chased you around the internet. Listeners, viewers of this program will know that I can be kind of, we'll say, persistent. And with you, it was no different because I had just seen, you had a lot of really great content and a lot of really cool, not just photos and reels and whatever, but it was just your vibe. I knew you were a content creator and I just thought you were perfect. So for the people who don't know who you are, they're like, what's going on? Can you talk a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I am 21 and I've been a full-time OnlyFans creator for coming up to 2.5 years now. So that's the only thing that's been going on really work-wise. Other than that, I've just been traveling for the past 2 years and I came back last year and decided that I needed to maybe get a degree behind me or something. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, just in the UK, working hard, studying, working hard.
So what's the degree in? What are you working towards?
I'm doing a degree in aerospace, not to get boring or send you to sleep, but yeah.
No, I think that's amazing. Because I think, people have this really narrow view of sex workers and OnlyFans, oh wait. And you see a lot of really big, even porn stars, like a Bella Danger, she's, she's going to be a psychiatrist at some point. Right. And a lot of, sex workers, they'll go and they'll become lawyers and stuff like that. So
Yeah. So for me, it was about making sure that when I get home from doing my traveling or when I finish doing OF, I have something to either fall back on and something that challenges me mentally as well. Because although it is difficult, running my OnlyFans is really hard, but I feel like it doesn't challenge me mentally completely. And I feel like I am the type of person who needs that challenge. Otherwise, I go crazy. So that's more what it was about for me.
No, I love that. And there's so much there, right? So number one, is OnlyFans paying for college? That's my first.
Yeah. So a lot of people I don't know how it works everywhere else, but in the UK, you obviously get a student loan and you don't have to pay it off unless you make, I think it's 30 grand a year. If you don't make 30 grand a year, then you don't need to pay it off. But a lot of my friends, they went to uni and they're in a lot of debt and they're struggling. So for me, it was this is great. I can pay it off as I go along and I don't have to worry.
No, that's amazing. And you said that you needed a challenge, right? So, working full time, pretty much with OnlyFans, I can only imagine that maybe it's just the same old song and dance, that you're getting the same kind of requests, or you're putting the same kind of content out. Or was that just did you feel drained by that? And you're like, man, I really need something more than just hey, how big is my dick? Is this great? Or
Yeah, no, it got really boring at one point. The reason I even went traveling, the reason I went to Thailand at first was because I felt so bored. And it's weird because my niche what helps is that my niche changes throughout the places that I go and the different eras of my life. So sort of depending on where I am and what I'm doing, is the type of audience that I cater to. So when I was in Thailand, it was so much easier for me to make content like anime type content because of the resources that I had out there. They have a lot of cosplay stuff and like cosplay events. So that obviously changed my audience, which keeps me from not being bored. Because otherwise, if I'd stayed here and I was catering to like football hooligans and I had to make like football content and just dance around in a football kit the whole time, I would have got so bored. So in that sense, like it does keep my mind going, but to what extent?
Okay, so I love the word hooligan, so that's an amazing thing. We've got that out of the episode already. That's amazing. Hopefully we can work it in somewhere else. And were you getting that? Were you getting like dudes saying, "Hey, like dress up in a football outfit and like get sexy for me"? Was that like a legit thing you kept getting requested?
Yeah, that was when I first started. I lived in England still. I was in Sheffield, and up north they're like really known for being crazy football hooligans. Like that's what they're called. They're so hardcore. They get really rowdy. They've had a drink and they go out and they just chant all this horrible vulgar stuff. And that's the audience that I had. And to be honest, like they were kind of my favorite type of audience, but it wasn't my favorite type of content to make. So yeah, it would be like starting in a football kit, strip teases and stuff like that.
Yeah, and just so like all of the American listeners, which is like every listener. Well, actually, that's not true. We have listeners all over the planet, and we're grateful. But if you're listening in America, when she says football, she's talking about what you know as soccer. So
Sorry.
Well, let's think it's really great because they were probably envisioning for at least a moment, right? Like you in like a helmet and like whatever and like shoulder pads and all that. But no, we'll think about soccer when she says football. So now that that's out of the way, and I think it's also important to mention that you are a new mother. You said your son was before we started recording was like 6.5 months old. So that's a factor in this story as well.
Yeah, a big factor actually.
Yeah. So, okay. 6.5 months. So you started, you said about 2.5 years ago on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, how difficult is it to be a mother who is in college or uni, as you would say, studying aerospace, running an OnlyFans? Because earlier you did say it's really hard to run an OnlyFans, and I really want to key in on that. But how hard is it to do the OnlyFans, to be a mom, to study aerospace with a 6.5-month-old?
Do you know what? At first I did look at it like that and I was kind of playing victim, but then I thought I'm really lucky to be able to be in a position where I can do it all. A lot of my like mum friends, they have had to go straight back to work full time, which obviously means they don't do what I do. They are normal people. No, I'm joking. And they have to go to work full time and actually go out to office and work and leave their babies and get childcare and stuff like that. So from my point of view, from my perspective, I'm super lucky that I get to stay at home. I'll never miss him crawl. This is a huge thing of OnlyFans for me, why it was so important that I carried on doing it throughout my pregnancy. And I'll get to that in a minute. But it was about like, when I do give birth, then I can make sure that I never miss his first steps, his first words, I'm never missing anything. It's all me. I'm doing it. You know what I mean? I'm seeing all of that progression and I'll never miss out on it. And then throughout my pregnancy, it was when I found out, because I was trying for a long time for him. When I found out, I made a shit ton of content. Like I made so much content in the first, I'm pretty petite, so I didn't show for like the first 5-6 months. And in that time period, I just got up every day and I was making content. It was so hard because when you're pregnant, you just feel like you just want to sleep all day and you're ill and it's horrible. But I was making sure I was putting out every single costume, every single dance on TikTok, like, or everything. So I had all these drafts to post whilst I was like fully pregnant and people had content to request. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously, like you want to batch it before time runs out, right? So was that a
Exactly.
stressful time for you where you're like, oh my God, I have, and because you didn't know what, maybe when you would show or whatever, did you know how much time you had? Was it a race?
You know what? It was a race. But the first part I was in Thailand. So I was kind of trying to, it was easy because if I was going to, every day looks like the same day. Like you get up and you go to the beach. So I was in a bikini every day. So I kind of, that's when I switched my niche from like being in the villa dressing up to like just like coconut girl, beach vibes. Because it was just easier. I would just get up every day and go to the beach anyway. So it just made sense that I was making content at the beach, taking naked pictures by a palm tree type of content. It just made sense.
Right. And then, okay, so when you started showing, did you stop doing content or did you continue? Because some people actually continue, and it's like that's like a niche on OnlyFans that has like gotten really popular.
Yeah. So for me, like just my personal opinion, and I'm quite opinionated, so be warned.
We love it. We love it.
Good. I don't. I didn't produce any content whilst I was showing, just because I have wanted a baby for like the longest time. I'm only 21 and I've wanted a baby for like the longest time. It's actually quite scary. And so for me, when I did fall pregnant, it was like a really precious thing to me. And I was just so happy and over the moon that like this was like a thing that was actually going to happen to me. Like it was like a fairy tale. And I didn't want to ruin it with people being able to say what they wanted about it, not just subscribers but just people in general on the internet. I know they can be quite mean.
yeah no
So for me it was like, just I wanted to protect my little bubble, because
no, I mean, that makes a ton of sense, and that's why I asked, because I wanted to get the real answer from you on record. I think that's fucking great. I think it's incredible. I think that's true, right? Like that's what we're here to do, is like have some fun and tell the truth, right? What I want to do is jump back to, so where did the idea to start an OnlyFans come from? Number one, and number two, how long did you think about it? Because a lot of viewers, listeners of this program, of this show, they all want to start OnlyFans, all of them, everybody, right? And they're nervous, and I don't blame them, right? Because they don't want to be shamed, they don't want to be shit on, they don't want to be made fun of or whatever. And I love to get this kind of gold information from people like you who have done it and been very successful. So how nervous were you? Where did the idea come from, and how long did you sit on it?
Okay. This is kind of a juicy one. So I was in like a really toxic relationship, and I feel like this is where it starts for most people. I was in a really, really toxic relationship, bad place, known him since I was 17, got married, and and then we became, he was super, do you know what red pill is? Are you familiar with red pill?
Yeah, but you should explain it for the viewers.
Okay. So the red pill community is basically a bunch of men who like to talk a lot. Sometimes their views can be quite misogynistic. Sometimes they'll make valid points. It's just how it is. Sometimes you agree with them, sometimes you don't. But typically it's bad advice for young men who are impressionable. They don't have much life experience, and maybe they don't have someone older to look up to. So they turn to these YouTube videos, and they can be very, very bad for people who haven't gone out into the world to suss it out themselves. They haven't sussed out relationships themselves. So it's very blanketed. It's bad information considering everybody's relationships are different. But they just force out this one idea to everyone, in hopes that you buy a course from them, usually a course on how to be a Riz master, an alpha male, something like that. You get the vibe. We shan't name names. But so we became in a toxic place, and he turned to red pill. And because I was impressionable at the time, I was also like, oh, whatever he says goes. He was 5 years older than me. Whatever he says goes. If he's listening to it, I'm going to listen to it. And we hated the idea of OnlyFans. Like, we would ridicule it all the time. We'd listen to Fresh and Fit and how they always have OnlyFans girls on, and we were like, this is crazy. Why would you do that? I'd only ever been with him. So I was like, this is wild that people are even out there doing that. I live in a small town in England. I can't believe this even happens in the world, right? So long story short, we obviously split up because it was not healthy, as you can imagine. And he went traveling to, he went to Dubai to network, and I stayed here and did my stuff, explored. And then I started an OnlyFans because I got approached on the internet by some people who lived in LA, and they were like, we've got a content house, and I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, 18 years old. Wow, LA, I live in a little town, not me. And they kind of approached me weirdly. They approached me, and there's a lot of agencies out there that are a bit snaky with this. But they approached me and was like, oh, we want you to be in a music video. We want you to do modeling. And then they wormed OnlyFans into my brain from there. And I just became more and more comfortable with each thing, and then it was OnlyFans. So at first I was being managed by these people out in LA. And then, sorry, long story short.
No, we love long stories. This is a podcast. We love when the guest has long stories. This is an important story.
I started feeling really something was missing, and I just thought it was my ex. So 4 months down the line, I opened my OnlyFans. I've been doing it. I wasn't producing that much content. My content wasn't that raunchy. It was quite boring, to be honest with you. It was just stuff with nipple covers and stuff like that. But for an 18-year-old, this is wild to me, for someone who lives where I live. And then I got back with him because I was like, I don't know what's going on with my life. I'm pretty sure it's because you left that I'm doing all this crazy shit. I'm sleeping with people, I'm doing crazy stuff, please, like, you need to come back. And he had actually started an OnlyFans management agency. I know. So this whole time we've been spending like hating on people, but I suppose this is why I always say now, the bigger the front, the bigger the back, because we were like hating so bad, but somewhere deep down we both wanted to be a part of it. So from there, I then left my agency that I was working with initially, who got me into the OnlyFans, and then joined his agency because it was just doing a lot better. And we put our heads together, and we made our own agency, and then it goes from there. The rest is history. We're here now.
Okay, so are you guys still together as a couple?
So it's my baby's father, not my father's baby. My baby's father.
Okay, so this is really, really interesting. This is see, we found it already. We found the gem. This is insane because you guys were driving around, right? And you're like, oh my God, what a slut. Who would do that?
Yeah.
Right. And you're hating on it and like obsessively hating on it.
And like literally didn't stop thinking about it.
Right. And like diving into like the red pill stuff. And just to give the audience like an example, like Andrew Tate is a big red pill guy, right? We're not fans. Not many people are, but that's the kind of stuff you guys were consuming. You break up, you go to LA, you do the agency thing. Were they putting you with people to have sex with for OnlyFans, or were you finding your partners on your own, or?
No. So I actually was doing the content from England. So I never ever, they did want me to fly out. But I didn't trust them enough at the time, because I was thought, okay, it's going to spiral, and I'm going to start with just like doing raunchy pics, and then I'm going to be on Pornhub. So I just, you know what I mean?
Sure.
For me, it was like, I was super scared. I've been pretty sheltered my whole life, which I think helps sometimes. But I don't regret my decision to not go over and join their content house, because I don't know what they would have had me doing, to be honest.
Right. And so then you felt like, this is great to make. Were you making money?
Yeah, so not as much as I make now.
Sure.
But to be honest, they were an agency where there was, so they called it a partnership, but my money was being split 3 ways. And I say my money because it's always the creator's money. It's never not the creator's money. She's the one that she or he, is the one who has to, that's their digital footprint. Like, it's no one else's digital footprint, it's theirs. So yeah, I always say that money. It was being split 3 ways. So I was actually only getting 30% at the time. So even a month when I made like my first month, I made 10K with them, I was getting 3 in dollars. So over here, I think that's like 2.2.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for like, I just left school and I was on £7 an hour before that. So I was like, whoa, mom, let's go shopping.
Yeah, no. So when you felt that something is missing piece, was it a financial piece and an emotional, I feel like an empty space, or was it just the emotional
Mm.
side?
It was just the emotional side because I didn't
Okay.
know he was even making money. When we were together, we both worked at Amazon
Mm.
together at an Amazon warehouse, which is like really depressing when you think about it. But yeah, it was like 12-hour days before that. And I don't know. Yeah, it was just emotional, to be honest. I can sit here and talk shit about how it was business minded of me, but it
Right.
wasn't. I
Yeah,
was just,
yeah.
there was something. I've always like been in a relationship or been with someone.
So you, so you call, are you nervous when you call him and to tell him that you've been doing OnlyFans since he was shit talking it with you all those years? Or how did you feel when you reached back out to him to ask for him to come back?
Oh no, I didn't tell him. It kind of just came up. So I was like, "Hi, please, can you come down and see me? We live 8 hours away from each other at the time. Can you come down and see me?" Yeah, I go up to see him, and then I just stayed. And then over time, he's like, "Where are you getting this money from?" Like, you just came up here with me not working. And I kept saying, "Oh, I just got paid from my old job, like in advance. So, it's running down slowly." And then after a month, he's like, "Come on, like, I'm not stupid." And then I was like, "You've been at home with me the whole time. Where are you getting your money from?" And then we kind of just was like, "Oh, well, we just do things on the side." And then it came out slowly.
That is so amazing. I would love to like so it came out slowly, but was there a moment where it was like, wait a minute, no, you wait a minute? Like, did you have that moment like at the table or in bed or something where you're
Yeah, no, we did. So my agency that I was with when I first got back with him, and I didn't know he was managing
Mhm.
OF, the agency that I was with actually called me, and he was like, why, who's this? What's going on here? Because I had their pictures saved, and when someone calls you, you can put that picture up, yeah. So he was like, who the fuck is that, and why do they keep calling you? Like, come
Mhm.
on, bae, we're fucking again. Why are you doing this? Don't be toxic. So then I was like, oh, this is a guy from a modeling agency. And then he was like, a modeling agency. Yeah, yeah, okay. So that was kind of the moment.
The bottling agency, like the one that I'm secretly running.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, basically.
Oh my God, this is so incredible. Okay. And so you discover each other's secret and it turns out you could
Yeah.
combine forces, right? So the $64,000 question, because when we started this interview, you said I was in a toxic relationship. So one is the
Mm.
relationship that you have a child with this man and you're
Mm.
working when you have your own agency. Is
Mm.
it a healthy relationship now? One, that's number one.
Yeah, it is now. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Two, and this is the one that all the viewers are going to want to our listeners, audience members, party goers, whatever they're called, right? We're working on it. Is this the moment, right, where you guys find out each other's secret and you're cruising along, everything is lovely, right? So basically, like, what I'm trying to say is that if you're making money, he's making money, everything is good.
Yeah.
Then was the problem in your relationship all the toxic shit that you were consuming? Is that why the relationship was toxic in the beginning, or was there something else that you then worked through because you both matured? Or
Okay, so I think the main problem that I've found over time with experience at my big age of 21.
well, we've been through a lot,
Yeah, exactly.
wisdom knows no age.
No, exactly. It was probably the content he was consuming and the fact that I was so impressionable and that I would listen to it. If I had my own experience in life before then, I probably would have been able to fight back and fight my corner a little bit. But when he's screaming like his misogynistic views that aren't even his views, they're just views that he's heard from somebody else who I'm sure that's not even what they really think either. And he's trying to put them into practice. Yeah, I'm sure if we weren't consuming that, it would have been fine.
And you guys like potentially would have like stayed together, but
yeah, but then we'd still be broke.
Yeah,
So
that does
it's
make
kind
sense.
of like
yeah.
we would have stayed at Amazon, and
Mm-hmm.
we would have been not making that much money. So
that is incredible that the thing that you both rallied against, you both went to after the breakup. That is so fascinating to me. When you told your friends about this, when your friends found out, like, what were not just about like, hey, I have an OnlyFans, because that's a whole thing. So like you know, whatever. But like when you got back with him, and then you guys started an agency together, like what were some of the reactions in your friends and family group?
So obviously all my friends hated him anyway, because we'd been in that toxic place.
Mm-hmm.
And I made it very well known. Oh, I made it so well known. So when COVID was sort of first happening and not really many people had many followers on TikTok, my TikTok went to like 200K. And in my area, that means everybody knows that people that, you know, that you have a following, because I'm from like a small place. And then it got to the point where like I was so mad at him when we split up. I would go on live every day and tell the internet all the things I hated about him. Like, it was so bad. I never lied. Okay, I did exaggerate, but I would literally go on every day and sit in my bedroom, because I'd just gone from living with him full time to being back at my mum's house, which was a problem in itself. And then I would literally rant and tell everyone his business on TikTok Live.
Yeah.
So my friends, they were supportive about the OnlyFans, but they weren't supportive about us getting back together.
Well, how are they now?
Oh, they're great. I mean, I've pretty much lost some of those friends along the way, but the ones that have stuck around, like, they're really supportive. I actually couldn't ask for better friends, and I feel like if you're scared about, I always tell people this when they come to me about starting an OnlyFans, I'm nervous, what people are going to think about me. It's literally make or break for your friendships. Like, it acts as a catalyst, if anything, to speed up who's here for the long run and who's here for like the looks.
Yeah, you know, that's so interesting, because it kind of works that way with a sex podcast too. And I didn't think, you know, because I'm just some white dude like with a podcast talking about sex. Like I figured like who would be mad about that. But like when I look now at the last year and a half of my life, which is the lifespan of the show so far, there's so many people who like unfollowed and talk shit and like whatever for whatever reason, right? So I just think when you do big creative things, it doesn't even have to be about sex, but the bigger that thing gets, the less people are happy with you.
Exactly. No, exactly. But it's good, because then you get to see who's here for what. Because for a long time I wasn't sure. I had this one best friend, and I was so sure we were going to be friends forever, have kids like the same age and everything. And then I started an OnlyFans, and she didn't drop off straight away, but it dwindled out. And I know that was the reason why. And then it's weird, because you think that it's going to be your religious friends, and you think it's going to be your friends that have like a strong moral compass. But it's like, I have some of my best friends now are like my friends that I've kept from primary school, that are Muslim, Catholic, really reserved, really, really modest, like, you know.
Yeah, it's never who you think it is. And the call is like always coming from inside the house. It's always the grand reveal at the end of the episode. It's like, oh, it's the fucking best friend, or my mom, or like whatever. It's always the ghost face reveal. Yeah. Surprise, bitch. And yeah, no, I mean that's such a thing. I do want to dial back now that we've revealed some traitors in the midst. You want to go back and touch on this too, because I think it's really powerful. But you said OnlyFans is a lot of work. So like walk us through why it's a lot of work, what it looks like, and why maybe, you know, because the thing that I really hate, and I'm sure you hate this too more than me, but when you know, I mentioned to a friend one time a while back, oh, I have this OnlyFans creator coming on the show, and you know, she makes $200K a month. And he's like, must be nice. And I'm like, hang on a second. First of all, fuck you. And like, it's hard work. So I wanna be realistic with the audience about what it does take.
Okay, well, the first thing that I always say to people is to make, if you are going to start an OnlyFans, or at least you're thinking about it, make sure you have a good sense of community and a lot of support from the people around you for doing it. Because if you're being shamed, if the closest person to you is your mum and she's shaming you every day, every time you talk or every time you go for a coffee for what you do, it's going to get to you, because it's you really need, your mental has to be strong, because this type of stuff that you see, I love my subscribers. I really do. I genuinely care about each and every one of them, and some of them I'm closer to than others. But sometimes you will see people say things about you that you didn't need to read. And I've had people say certain things sometimes, and it will just keep going round and round in my head. And if I wasn't such a strong person, I don't know how I would deal with it. So I'm lucky in the sense where, like, if I read something that is horrific about me, now it won't keep me up. It used to when I first started. I thought, how can someone even come up with something like that? But now I'm okay. So that's the main thing. Like, you need the hardest bit about it, I would say, is, the toll that it takes on your mental health.
Yeah, and then on top of that, so you have to have that, or at least start practicing that, like, maybe don't read the comments, or if you're going to read them, realize that this is someone who is, using their energy to fucking talk about you. They're giving you their energy, whatever. That's usually how I kind of chalk that up, right? But then, as far as like having an OnlyFans, keeping it going, right? Like the actual tangible like content, like there's a lot of work there, and not just like, hey, I'm going to have sex and film it. Hey, I'm going to masturbate and film it. Hey, I'm going to, dress up like a anime character or a coconut lady and all of the things, right? But you have to have a lot of content ready to roll, and all of those things. So if you could talk about like how much actual work it does take you with that content, but also like the social media angle too.
Yeah, so content wise, I tend to pick 4 days out of the week and spend a few hours of that day solely making content. So it can get so tedious. I know it doesn't sound like much work, but the one thing I hate, which is not, it's a funny thing to complain about, but the one thing I hate is having to do like a TikTok sound X amount of times for each different account. So most creators will have loads of different TikTok accounts that they'll do loads of the same TikToks on to make sure that they push it out to as many people. So it doesn't really matter if you get 400 views or 5,000 views or 500k views, because you've pushed it out on like 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 10 different accounts to get like, you could have 5,000 views and it hit an algorithm and you only get 1 subscriber, or you could get 400 views and get 10 subscribers from that. So it's kind of like, that's a really difficult part for me, having to push out all of that content, like, and bang it out in a few amount of hours. And obviously I'm trying to balance that with being a mum. I don't know how many other people in my job have that same problem, but that's definitely the thing I hate the most. The marketing is a big one too. It took me, how long did it take me? I say me, it took us. I'd say like maybe 6 months to figure out where I was getting the most traffic from. So I had a lot of trial and error. So I was investing a lot of money and losing a lot of money to try and figure out where was best to invest it and where to place my money to get the most return. So there was one time where I invested into like an anime page, and they posted a picture of me dressed up and like kind of gave me a shout out type of thing, in like meme form. And it didn't do as well as I wanted it to, but I'd already paid like $1,000, USD for the promo. And it just didn't get the right. So that can get really tedious. Like, that on your mental health is not great, especially when I was only making like $4,000 in the first few months. So yeah, that's a big one. The marketing is really, really difficult. You can't just pick and choose easily. Like, it is really hard to find something and stick with it.
Yeah. And then it also too, with your subscribers, like, are you finding that they all kind of like have the same taste, similar taste, or are you
Oh
constantly
no.
okay. So that's the other part of it. If you could talk about that.
No, not at all. They don't have the same taste at all. It's I get both ends of the spectrum. So I've had the weirdest request I've had is for someone, they wanted me, this is when I was in Thailand, they wanted me to put ballet shoes on and film like a 5-minute video of me standing on some sort of bug, but it was like a specific bug. So I've had that end. And then I just get like the really cliche, like masturbation, that sort of stuff, like those sort of requests. So I've had like both ends where it's been really plain, really vanilla, and then really like, why do you get off to that? Like, do you need a therapist? Is everything okay? You know? But I don't judge. Like, let's go, let's do it.
Right. I mean, yeah, we don't kink shame, and it sounds like you don't either. So that's amazing. When you say bug, just to make sure it's not lost in translation, you mean like an insect?
An insect.
Okay. So they wanted you to put ballet shoes on and stand for 5 minutes, like stomp on it?
Like stomping on insects.
Wow. Okay. Did you do that or?
No, I didn't. Okay. I didn't.
Yes.
Because it was like, he offered me $600 for it. And I was like, that's too many little lives for $600. You know, I'm killing things, and that's where I kind of draw the line. I know that like they're only bugs, but for me, it's like, well, oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Add another zero, buddy. Yeah. Because I feel like, you know, there are themes and there are like things that are popular on Pornhub. They don't really change. They like, you know, it's like step bro shit and like, you know, what else is there? Like, there's like taboo, like family stuff. There's like the bukkake stuff. I mean, it's always constantly like, kind of like they're replacing each other in the top 5 always. Yeah. But then like, cosplay or something like they're a celebrity like Ariana Grande will bounce in there, and it'll be like these role play things, right? And so do you kind of move with what's popular, or like how are you, because you seem like someone to me who stays ahead of all of like the trends, especially if you're like, you know, having costumes and, you know, the hooligan coconut stuff, like whatever, right? You seem like someone who would be on top of it. So are you watching that sort of chart for what's big and popular?
I do, but I also try and stay really true to myself, because what I found is that when I don't, and I do try and follow the trends too much, or I try and squeeze myself into a niche too much, I hate making the content. And then the content that I produce is really bad. It's really shit, because you can tell I'm not enjoying it. Like I prefer to just, I do, like I said, I do watch the trends, but I make it my own in that way as well, because otherwise, like I said, it's just going to be not fun for me to make.
Yeah. And see, that is something that comes up constantly with a lot of OnlyFans creators. It's like a lot of them will say, yeah, like some of the stuff is tedious and it's sort of like it gets time consuming or boring. But there are times where I feel really like actually like turned on doing it. So does that happen with you sometimes? Like, is that a regular thing that happens with you?
Yeah, it took a while for me to get there, for me to feel comfortable on camera and stuff like that. But now, if I haven't made content for a while, like I get excited to make the content, because I'm like, this is also like, it's me time. And I mean, I've always been like, I was like the only Asian girl in school and stuff like that. So I've always been really, what's the word I'm looking for? I've always been really sexualized, basically, from like a really young age, especially in school. And so for me to be able to take control now, and like there's a phone screen in front of me and a laptop screen in front of me, and that's my safety. Like for me, it's like me time. Like now I get excited to make my content, because it's like I can have some fun and I'm in control of when I want to stop. I'm in control of what gets pushed out there, what's said. Like no one can, you know what I mean? No one can dictate what I'm going to do. And like, this is me. I always pop a glass of wine as well.
Yeah.
Before I'm making my content. Cause it's just like, this is me. Put a little face mask on.
Yeah, you got to do it up, right? And you it sounds like you found a way to have me time that pays you back, right? Like, which is the dream, the worldwide dream, right? And What would you say is, well, and also too, like, just to cap that one off, your followers, your subscribers, they want to see you excited. They want to see you have a real orgasm. They want to see you like want to make the content, right? And when it's contrived and whatever. So it's not only best for you, but it's like best for them too, which is like, that's when your dollars go up too.
Exactly. I'm going to be like so completely open and honest. When I first started making that sort of content, I would fake it a lot. Like I would just fake enjoying what I was doing. Like you could kind of tell. And what I found is I was like, okay, people are buying things once, but no one's coming back, and I'm really offended. And then I would watch my content back, because that's something that I don't do very often. I still don't do it now. I don't watch my content back because I feel like when I'm not in the mood and I'm not horny anymore, it's going to be like, oh, I'm going to nitpick everything. But I have to understand that my subscriber probably isn't going to do that because they are in the mood. You know, they are there. They're not going to nitpick. They're not going to sit and nitpick. Like, it's just not going to happen. So for me, I wasn't doing it. I wasn't enjoying it, and they weren't coming back. So then I was like, okay, if I actually want this and I want to be like, I'd be able to be in control of my own time when I wake up and I want to do this full time, I'm going to have to actually take it seriously and do this full time and enjoy it.
So was that a process when you figure that out, which, I mean, that's brilliant, because figuring that out, I think is like a light bulb moment that would probably not even for just like normal content. Like, what's wrong with my reels? They're not getting any, what I do it all the time. Like, what the fuck? That was a good reel, whatever. But with sex, like with being able to like make yourself come or be with a partner or whatever you're doing on OnlyFans, right? To be able to actually get comfortable enough to have an orgasm in that setting, and then later for that to turn you on, right? Maybe it's a kink or something, but like, was that a process that it took a while for you to get comfortable? And as you got comfortable, you noticed people were like buying all sorts of stuff then?
Oh yeah, 100%. And it works as like, it's like a wheel, right? And it's like turns itself, because once you do one thing right, it all starts flowing. It all plays into each other, because then I was enjoying it, and then I was making more, and then I was looking forward to it. So then I would enjoy it more, and I would make more, and it would go round and round and round and round. And then people were coming back, which means obviously I'm making more money. And then as soon as I seen that I'm making more money, I'm like, let's like light this candle. Do you know what I mean? Let's crank this up a little bit. Maybe I can produce content that I didn't think I'd ever be comfortable with producing. And as much as that sounds like, oh, well, that's really, money orientated, and like your morals go out the window for a bit of money. For me, it was like, I'm becoming more comfortable with it because I trust my subscribers, and I'm more confident as I do it. I've met girls who are so self-conscious, and then they start an OnlyFans, and then it's like they just blossom into like who they never even thought they could be, and do things that they never thought they would, and they feel so empowered. And I hate using that word because it seems cliche now, but it's true. Like genuinely, it gives me the most happiness, and like, yeah.
See, that's the thing that I think everybody is missing, is I think that OnlyFans is as innovative or as groundbreaking as like social media itself, because anybody can do it, and also like anybody can make money on their own body, right? And exactly. There's been this war against sex work for tens of thousands of years, right? And none of it makes any fucking sense at all. And then here we are with this platform that's giant, and it turns people into in some cases like they quit that, like you do it full time, right? And you're making money and you're feeling good about it, and you learn that on your own. Someone didn't tell you like, hey, you should try to like be more realistic when you come, you're like, no, actually, if I actually come, then they'll come back and like double down.
It's kind of like a win-win.
Totally. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's a win-win-win for sure.
Exactly.
and it pays, and it's like, what a moment, right? Because what does this mean for sex work? What does this mean for like the future? And I think that's why we have conversations like we're having with you, because it's a big fucking deal, and people downplay that shit all the time.
Yeah.
Like way too much. What would you say is the best thing that's happened to you since you started an OnlyFans?
OnlyFans related or just in general?
OnlyFans related. Like best
OnlyFans
experience or
creator.
like best like, oh yeah, this was fun. That I never thought I'd do that and I did and it was great. Or like just like your
Oh, that's easy. I spent like 5K on dinner for my family,
there we
and
go.
that was something that I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd ever be able to do that, but like it's gonna keep getting better and better. But this was like maybe 5, 6. So this was about 7, 8 months in.
Wow.
And that was something that I've always wanted to do because I was a little shit. So I just wanted to like pay them back. You know what I mean? Thanks for sticking around, guys.
Sorry about all the hooligans.
Yeah,
Um
exactly.
okay, and so what then on the flip side of the coin, right? Like what's the worst thing that you would say has happened to you? Like again, like this is all like up to the person, but like have you had any bad experiences like maybe not necessarily because of OnlyFans, but like during that time?
Oh, yeah. Again, this is actually quite an easy one now that I think about it. So my sisters are still in school, right? And I bet you can tell where this is going. So
Mhm.
one of them is 14 and one of them is 17. She was like 16 at the time. And someone had used their dad's like logins or whatever to get into my and their like card and everything. So they did pay, so it was okay to get into my OnlyFans. And I was running a trial at the time, so it was a lot cheaper. And I'd forgotten to take one of my pictures down because on my actual wall, there's not that much nudity. But I usually sometimes will put something up there just to like tease everyone, and then I'll take it down. But I forgot this one night. It's such a coincidence. This one night I'd forgotten to take it down, basically. And they paid the next morning whilst they were in school with all their friends, and then airdropped it around the whole classroom. And then obviously that classroom, they'd sent it to the next one. So it eventually got to my sisters. And they were just really cut up and distraught. I mean, we're a naked house anyway. When I lived with my mum, it's only girls. So we would all walk around with everything out anyway. So it's not that they hadn't seen it before, but for them, it was just like, oh, now I'm going to get bullied.
So did you have sort of did they know they didn't know you were doing OnlyFans?
Oh, no, they knew.
Oh,
They knew.
okay.
They were the first people to know. I sat my mum down and my sisters down and I said, this is what's going to happen now. They're the closest people to me. It's only ever been us, me, my mum and my two sisters. So for me, that was really important that they knew first and they didn't find out through anyone or through social media or me saying, link in my bio, guys.
Mm-hmm.
It was important to me. So they did know, and it wasn't a surprise, but it was just not nice for the boys to be like, oh, your sister, da da da.
Yeah.
The things that they say, like in school, they can be quite nasty. So
Yeah, fucking hooligans.
Hooligan.
Fucking hooligans.
Barbaric.
Yeah, no, I mean that's always like the worry that people that oh my god, what if that happened to my family, or what if someone like shamed me, and like so you've already gone through that, and you and look everybody, she survived, she's here, she's making more money now than she was then. Yeah. And that's the thing is people are gonna ask, right? Like, so how much money are you making? And you don't have to answer, you can answer however you feel comfortable, but because it is a grind, it is a work, it is it is a lot of work. So how much money do you make on OnlyFans, like per month? We're in America, so if you want to break it down, if you're going to say a number, that would be great. If
I earn in dollars anyway, so
there we go.
It's annoying because when I think I have a certain amount, I actually have less in GBP. So then I'm like, oh, when I convert it, I'm like, oh, I got to try harder. But so it's been ups and downs really. There's been months where I've earned like $700 and I've been trying my hardest, and then there's been some months where I've had a few days off in the week, and it meant that the content that I did produce the next day or the next week was a lot better. So then I made in Thailand, there was a month where I made like 18K in 1 month. So it's kind of just like it's ups and downs, and it has. Last year, especially because where I was pregnant, it was fluctuating depending on what I was pushing out on TikTok. So I wasn't doing any paid promo, it was just TikTok. So there was some months where I was making like 4, some months where I was making 10, and then it would drop down to like, again, like 1 point. I think I had in August, I made like 1.8, which was like really annoying for me because I was like, but I was fully showing. That was the first month where I hadn't made any content. So trying to navigate that was really difficult. This year's been great. So my first month I made 12, and then my second month I made 8, and then this month so far we're on 4.2. And I want to check, but I did check this morning in case you did ask that question.
Yeah, of course, like the typical podcaster question. But like, you know, sometimes you got to ask typical podcaster questions because the audience is like, I wonder.
I appreciate those types of questions. When people ask me, I think it's like really brave of them anyway, like when I'm out for a coffee with my friends and stuff like that. And the reason I want to be truthful with people is because I don't want them to think that they can come into it and make like 100K a month, like some girls say that they do on social media. That would be ideal. And if I did, I wouldn't be living in the UK. That's for sure. But I also want them to understand that like it's ups and downs. Like there will be some months where you make really good money, and then some months maybe you won't. And until you kind of come up with a formula, I'm lucky now where I've come up with like a formula that works for me. So I'll never really drop below that 5K. Worst comes to worst. But yeah, I mean, I kind of can't anyway, because I've tailored my lifestyle to how much money I'm making, which needs to stop.
Well, I mean, you've had experience and consistency and practice, right? And those are just things that when you add that to anything, that formula to anything is gonna, on a long enough timeline, like bring you success. And I think that's amazing. The next watered down podcast question that I'm going to ask, and you can answer it however you want, however you feel comfortable, obviously, because I know you want to tease it a little bit, probably, whatever. But like, what can someone expect if they have money to spend and they're like, I want to spend it with Angel? Do you have a menu of things that you do? Is there certain things that hey, don't come to my page if you're looking for this or whatever?
I have a menu, and whenever someone subscribes, I always send that out just straight off the bat.
Sure.
Like, hi, this is my menu, just to let you know what I do, so that they're not wasting any time if I don't maybe provide the service that the content that they like, or that they want, or that they were expecting to see. But like I said, I haven't been very sexually active in my life, and I've only been with a very small amount of people in comparison to the people around me. It's different for everyone, but in comparison to the people around me, I haven't been. So the content that I produce is mainly, it's just me. Like I don't do full on porn and stuff like that. It's not my niche. It's not what I do, just because it's not me. Like I don't even know where I'd find those people that I want to have sex with in my hometown. Like it wouldn't happen. Like there's no one here.
Right.
Like I'm sad about that, but yeah. And if I do collab with someone, it will only ever be my husband, my child's father. It would never be anyone else. We're actually not together at the moment. I've been celibate since I had the baby. So, that's...
No, they're coming for you.
That's for me, I'm telling you. And so, yeah, so that's why the content that I've been pushing out recently hasn't been as raunchy. But I'm not willing to kind of make the content until we're in a place where we can rekindle that.
Yeah. So you guys have worked together. There is content available of you guys together.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, no, that's,
yeah.
And they can,
it's only ever him, and it only ever will
Sure.
be him, just because we're in a civil partnership. Like it's marriage. So if it does get leaked, and like later on down the road, my son goes to school and that's being airdropped around the class, it's of me and his dad, and not me and some random guy, Right. That's my thinking anyway.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. First of all, that you said most of it is solo stuff, but there is boy girl, and it is with my child's father or whatever. Fucking awesome, right? But like, hopefully by the time they're airdropping shit around the classroom, then like we have a better sexual fucking understanding of this stuff. We're only human.
There'll be like AI by then, and like suits. And like everyone will be so desensitized to it, it won't even matter. I've tried to explain this to people, like, what if I have kids, or like, what if like I try and get a job in 20 years and they don't want me to, and I'm like, everyone and their nan is gonna have some content out there of them. Like everyone and their granddad is gonna be
totally
is going to have content out there. Like everyone's going to be so desensitized, it won't matter.
Yeah, no, it won't matter at all. Okay, so in closing, right? I know you hate the empowerment word, but I'm going to drop it on you. So like, can you give some meaningful advice, right? Some empowering advice, sure, if you want, you don't have to, but also like some tangible advice. Let's say that Shirley, and no idea why I picked that name. It's totally random. What the hell? Let's
Very
say,
British.
well, there you go. I'm tapping into my British
Bit of Brit.
subconscious. Yeah. I can do a British accent, but it's better when I've been drinking, and I have not been drinking. You know?
I'm the same with Americans, so it's fine.
Yeah, no, I totally, it's just a thing. It just happens. Right. So, Shirley is out there. She wants to start an OnlyFans. She's nervous. Whatever. What are some advice? What's some advice you can give? Like just from like a meaningful place, but also from like a tangible, like, hey girl, do this. Don't do that.
Yeah. Honestly, I've given this advice so many times. So I'm kind of a pro at it now, but really, really, really consider what you're doing, first of all, because I thought I wanted to be a teacher. I started an OnlyFans. I started doing my access course to become a teacher, and they turned around and told me that I wouldn't be able to ever be a teacher now because I've posed the words that they used, posed topless on the internet. So, and whilst I understand it, I get it. That was a little bit heartbreaking for me at the time, but then I realized, wait, that's not actually what I want to do anyways. And it pushed me into the direction that I want to be a pilot. So that was great. And then I researched if they were going to have a problem with that, and they don't. So that's great. So definitely research all your avenues. If you ever don't, you come to a point where you want to quit OnlyFans, if you have started and you want to go down a certain avenue, make sure that they're going to be comfortable with you being an ex-content creator on that platform. That's the first most important thing that I would say. And then the second thing, like, fuck it. Like, why are you waiting so long? Like, it's really not that deep. So what? You suck some dick on camera. Like, everyone does it. Everyone has sex. Everyone like masturbates. Everyone, do you know what I mean? Like, it's really not that deep. We're in an age where like you can post a lingerie pic or even a naked picture on Instagram if you're covering like your nipples and that's about it, and people will not bat an eyelid. So why is it any different? Like, don't worry about it. You're gonna make money. Chances are you're probably gonna make money. And if you want it bad enough and you want to change your lifestyle, like, why are you thinking about it anymore? Once you've done that hardcore thinking, okay, do I want to be a teacher? Do I want to be in the Navy? Do I want to be in the army? Like, and you've come to that conclusion, get on with it. Like, stop if, but maybe, do it.
No, that's fucking amazing. I love everything that you just said. And usually like we get the good like mic drop stuff right at the end. And this episode was more of that. And that's amazing. And thank you for sharing all that. Cause I think that is going to be really helpful to anybody listening who wants to fucking do it and doesn't feel like they can or whatever. I have one final segment. We move through it pretty quickly. It's called The Burner. Yeah. It's like 10 questions, right? They're very like rapid fire, a little more fun, right? You can choose to go through it, or you can say, no, I'm good, I'm out of here. So it's totally up to you.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, I'm definitely, let's do it.
Awesome. Okay. Question number 1. Name something you wish men would stop doing.
Rubbing it too hard. Stop that.
Okay. Name something you wish women...
That was really random, sorry.
No, we love this. That's what this segment is for. It's amazing. Name something you wish women would stop doing.
Slut shaming.
Perfect answer. Name something you wish you would stop doing.
Fucking my ex. No, oh my god, that's the only thing I can think of. This is so bad.
Well, I mean, that you can go with that for an answer, or you can sub it out. Let's see. Have you ever been to a sex party in real life?
Can I say no comment?
You can say no comment.
I feel like that's the comment in itself.
Well, they will have to determine. They have to look at your body language and your eyes, and they'll be like, Right. Favorite guilty pleasure
Favorite guilty pleasure?
does not have to be sexual. It could be like
Food. Incorporating food.
incorporating food into sex.
To
Okay.
anything.
Yeah.
Yes, but to anything.
No, it's great. It's great. Name a person alive or dead. You get to have sex and hang out with this person, but the catch is that at the end of 24 hours, they vanish. So just one day.
Alive or dead?
Alive or dead.
Oh, there's so many. But the one that springs to mind. Don't judge me.
No judgment on this show.
Adam Sandler.
Okay. No, I mean,
I didn't have a dad, and I just feel like he fixes that. I feel like he'd be amazing. So
are you just hanging out? Are you just hanging out with Adam Sandler, or are you boning him too?
I'm definitely fucking Adam
Okay.
Sandler.
Good. Okay. Backstreet Boys or NSYNC? Who do you prefer?
Backstreet Boys, because my mum will kill me if I don't say that.
Well, this next question is probably just going to be a very easy one for you then. Spice Girls or Pussycat Dolls?
Oh, Spice Girls.
Well, duh, right? In a sentence or two, tell us one of your craziest sex stories. We don't need any names or whatever, but just tell us a crazy sex story.
Oh shit. I met a girl on TikTok, and then we went on holiday the first time we met, and yeah.
Yeah, fill in the blanks, guys. Most used app on your phone.
Most what?
Most used app on your phone.
Oh shit. That's it. I'm not gonna lie, it's probably TikTok, just because I make so much content.
Yeah. TikTok. Well, I figured it would either be OnlyFans, Instagram, or TikTok. I mean, usually those are like the top three. Speaking of Instagram, do you have a Finsta? Do you have a fake Instagram account?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
no, I do too.
Yeah, you should. It's like it's a must-have.
Yeah, I feel like you just need something to like keep an eye on some of the wicked people out there a little bit, so you don't bump into them or whatever else, right? Flaming hot or probably not. So, are you a fan of like flaming hot, spicy snacks or no way?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I love spice.
Okay, best kind of music to bang to?
Bashment, Jamaican, Caribbean.
Okay.
100%.
Okay, I can totally.
I'm not with
totally
all the slow. Yeah.
R&B. Okay, final question. We don't need to know who it is. We don't need any setup. But the last question: say something to one of your exes.
Say something. Anything. I can say anything.
You can say anything you want, and we don't even need to know who it is. Just make a statement to one of your exes.
I would say, if they were listening, and they will.
Great.
Stop playing with my feelings, and let's make some content. And can you come over when you see this?
Boom. What a way to end it. Angel Yussof, thank you so much for being with me on Sex Party. Let's let all these people know where they can go to give you all of their money, to subscribe to all your things. Where can they find you?
They can find me to have lots of fun, and that is a guarantee, a promise. My Instagram handle is Angel Yussof, Yussof. And the link is in my bio. That's a magic link. I heard it cured cancer, so make sure you get in.
I heard the same thing.
Exactly. It's a rumor that's
Amazing.
going around, and I'm pretty sure it's true. So thank you so much for having me. I've had such a fun time.
Yeah, no, me too. I'd love to have you back. So we'll have to have you back in the future. We'll figure that out. But
Definitely.
thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, my love.
We'll talk soon.
Yes, we will.
Bye. Huge thank you to my guest, Angel Yussof, for being on the show with me this week. Make sure you guys go check out all of her stuff. It is all linked below in the notes. If you guys are loving guests like Angel, if you want more guests like Angel, if you want Angel to come back, if you are appreciating Sex Party and you want to show that love, that desire, that appreciation, that need for more of this podcast, there's a couple different things you can do. If you're listening on platforms like Apple and Spotify, you can subscribe to the show. It's the most important. You can leave a rating. You could leave a review. You don't have to do any of these fucking things at all. If you're watching on YouTube, I love you. I see you. You mean a lot to me. If you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel. You could like the video. You could leave a comment. As always, you guys can find me in the DMs on Instagram, and I will see you back here next week.
Thanks for listening. The party continues next week. Click subscribe and let's make this a regular thing. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter @SexPartyFM. Follow Dustin @DustinRybka.